If you have ever tried making groundnut sweet and ended up with burnt sugar, sticky peanuts, or something your teeth can't even chew, trust me, you are not alone. I struggled for years to get it right, but guess what? I finally cracked the secret. Exact measurements, simple tips, and a fail-proof method. Let me show you how to make the perfect Cameroonian groundnut sweet every single time. For all these years, I kept getting my groundnut sweet wrong, and I never thought I needed a measurement. I would always eyeball. But I got somebody to teach me, and this is what I was taught. I made 4 cups of groundnut, and I used 2 cups of sugar and 2 cups of water. So whatever quantity of groundnut you're making, you want to use half the cup of water and half the cup of sugar. That's if you're using 8 cups of groundnut, you would use 4 cups of sugar and then 4 cups of water. That is the same cup you use to measure your groundnut. That's going to be the same cup you're going to use to measure your sugar and measure your water. Now for all our ingredients, we're going to need groundnut, we'll need granulated sugar, we need some salt, we need water, and then we need a little bit of nutmeg. This is optional. If you do not want the extra flavor of nutmeg, go ahead and skip that. Okay, so you can see me adding 2 cups of water into the pot, 2 cups of sugar into the same pot. So I'm going to add the second one right away, right? And then I'm just going to mix it and allow the sugar dissolve. Once that happens, I'm going to add in a pinch of salt. You want to really be a little bit of salt, because if you go extra, you're going to get a lot of the saltiness. So you just want to add a little bit of salt and a little bit of nutmeg. You can even go with just a pinch of nutmeg, because a little bit of it goes a long way. So once I mix everything together, I add my groundnut. I am adding 4 cups of groundnut, and then I mix it all so that all of it can combine with the sugar, the water, the nutmeg, and the salt. And then I'm just going to allow it sit there and boil. It's going to boil until the water gets dry. This particular step I never used to do before when I would make groundnut sweet. I'll feel like, how can you be boiling groundnut for groundnut sweet? But this is what I was taught, and it turned out amazing. It turned out crunchy. The groundnut inside was well cooked and dry. Sometimes you would buy groundnut sweet and you realize that the groundnut inside is raw. But that was not the case with this one, because it boiled for a long time and then we fried it after that. So it is going to boil until you start seeing that your sugar starts getting brown and it becomes there's less water in the pot. So at that point, you have to be very, very present by your pot. You have to mix and stir, touching all the corners. You can see how the sugar is becoming really brown. You don't just want to allow it to sit there. You want to keep stirring it. You stir it until at a certain point you realize that it will start getting dry. There's one ingredient that some people add in their groundnut sweets. Okay, I would share that with you in the next groundnut sweet video I am going to do, and then I'll also do another video showing you how to achieve. Okay, at this point we can see that the sugar and everything was getting dry and our groundnut sweet is nicely forming. So what I was saying is, there's another way that they make groundnut sweet where it's very sticky. I already have that video done. I am going to share it with you guys. This is what the groundnut sweet will look like. Like, it's going to be tight together. Most times in schools, that's what they sell. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how you can achieve that as well. But here you go. This process took about 40 minutes. Like, it's a long process. You have to stir and stir and stir and stir until the water dries out. And even after it dries out, you have to keep stirring like we are doing now, to ensure that so we kept on looking at the groundnuts, the ones that were not coated with sugar. We kept on looking at them to ensure that they actually start getting brown. When they start getting brown, you know that all the groundnut inside is now dry, and then you can pour it in a tray. At this point, you will not be getting that crunchy sound in the pot. That's one mistake you might make. You will think, oh, it's not, I'm not getting that sound. You know, the sound that when you touch groundnut sweet, you would feel, right? When it's still in the pot, it is not yet that dry. But the moment you take it out of the fire and then you just allow a little bit of air to go on it, maybe like 5-10 minutes, you touch it, it's going to be so crunchy. It's going to be so crunchy, so crunchy. And once it gets to that point, once it starts to cool down, you don't want to allow it out in the air for too long. Once it gets really cold, just put it in an airtight container and lock it up. Okay, so it stays for longer. You can see that the moment we are pouring it out of the pot, it's not yet dry. You cannot, it looks a little bit wet. It's not actually wet, but it's still, it doesn't have that dry look. But 5 minutes after this, I'm going to show you what it looks like. Very crunchy. There you go.